to Inside the Artist Studio. I am here with an artist whose path I have been crossing for decades. And we just met, I can't believe it, last weekend. I have admired his work for so long, and little did I know he was right here in Denver all this time. I finally got to meet him, and I am so glad to introduce you all to my new friend, Mikael Olson. Hey, Mikael, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. Thank you for making some time out in your day to be here with me. I really appreciate it.
I'm enjoy being here.
Good. Well, we'll see if you're still saying that at the end of this call. Hey, you know what? Let's just dive right in because
Oh, sure.
I was looking at a show of your work, and the show was just so wonderful. I know that if you're listening to this, you can see Michael's work online. Please follow him on Instagram. It's Olson, Olson, Mikael, Mikael. Yes, good.
Sure.
That's his Instagram handle. And Michael spelled a little differently. So follow him there because he's always posting great stuff. And then you can see his work on Artsy. You can find it on Gallery 1261's website, and you can also find him on Vale International's website. So another fabulous gallery in Colorado. I love those guys up there. They do great shows too. So anyway, check out Michael's work, and we're going to show you a whole bunch of his work on our call today. But Michael, give us a little bit of background about you. I thought it was just so funny when somebody asked you over the weekend, if you're from Denver, and you said no, and they said where you're from, and you said Evergreen.
Evergreen. Yeah, I
Okay,
haven't gone too far
yeah,
from the three
so
natives.
it's like you just rolled down the hill into Denver.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
yeah.
So
I came.
would you tell us a little bit about your journey as an artist? You studied at the Art Students League in
Yeah.
Denver, and where else?
Well, I started off um, all places. Well, college wise, I went to NJC, which is a school in Sterling, Colorado,
Hmm.
and I was up there for a year, and that was kind of a mistake.
Oh,
But
why? Why?
well, no, it was good, but it I went up there just because that's what you do next, and I wasn't really sure. I knew I wanted to do art, and then after a year of doing that, I decided to go to Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design,
Yeah.
and I went there. I was taking a bunch of classes. I ended up ditching most of my classes to go sneak into like drawing room, and I ended up instead of doing the computer classes, Photoshop and things, I just knew that I enjoyed drawing from life,
Hmm.
and um, I started meeting people. Actually, I met an artist there, Mitch Castor.
Yeah.
He was kind of very nice enough to let me sneak in his class,
Nice.
and I had ended up having better attendance than anybody in that class. Um, and then I found out about the league, um,
Yeah.
and I started going there, and um, I was doing those classes, and then I'd go sketch at the tattered cover at night. I was just always sketching and drawing, uh, and start taking classes from painting classes from the bigger names that really influenced me. Mark Daly,
Oh, yeah.
Kim English, and then Kwang Ho totally
Hmm.
changed my perspective on art. So and I just kept working on that, and then I
Can I ask you this? So when we were talking over the weekend, you mentioned Kwang Ho as being really influential. Would you just say a little bit more about what that influence was from Kwong?
Yeah, he it was more of a philosophy. It was more of a way of seeing things that just kind of opened my eyes.
Mhm.
Um, it was less being literal. It was more looking for patterns in nature
Oh,
and more seeing things about the big picture. It
mhm.
kind of took me a long time to, digest it and develop it, but it's pretty much kind of like a North Star in
Oh,
terms of the like a kind of a philosophy. I mean, you can't. I'm not. It's never been a point of imitation, but it's just the his ideas. Uh, just teaching fundamentals. That's all the shop talk, but
yeah.
um, those things that liberated me to paint what I wanted, what spoke to me, what my you know um, you know that personal thing that registered. So it wasn't. So it gave me tools to go on my search.
It sounds like that's what you were looking for first at Sterling College and then Rocky Mountain School of Art and Design. That,
Hmm.
you know, discovering that, and we're going to take a good look at this, that you love the figure. Um,
Hmm.
that's always, if not central, present in your work. Um,
Hmm.
but then also, I think, let me see if I've got this right with Kwong, that there's this giving you permission, but also I think instilling this concept that everything's really abstract, so it doesn't matter what you choose to paint. It's how
That's
you, yeah,
yeah.
go
Well,
ahead.
it does to the artist. It does to um it is there's it's like an event, I think, where subject and that abstraction they meet. So it's like I look into a room and all the abstractions sort of becomes form. You kind of flow through it. Um just like 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 water, I guess. Like just and a sense of rhythm within the composition.
That's so he taught you that, or he you gleaned that from?
I maybe gleaned it or well yeah, it's a accumulation of a lot of things. I mean, I also worked for many years in a rug store, and I'm surprised how much of that influenced me. Uh, Patterns.
Oh,
Yeah, there's,
so I'm
it's
picturing you like flipping rugs on the,
yep. I did flipped and tried to sell.
yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of like some people misunderstood me. They said, "What are you selling drugs?" No, I work at a rug store.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a good one to clarify with an artist.
yeah. That's not a backstory.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just from Evergreen. I never had really a hoodie aspect to me. So
Hey, you know what? I want to share some images. So I'm going to do a little screen share
sure.
with you.
Okay.
And we're going to start by taking a look at a piece called Golden Hour.
Okay.
And this painting, this is a good size painting, 48 by 48. This is on the bigger side for you, or you paint even bigger than this?
Um, I have painted bigger than this. But that's about my average large size. I
Yeah.
like the square format.
Why do you like squares so much?
It's just it it's just the alignment.
Mhm.
It just I don't know. I feel comfortable with it. Um, it's just something that speaks to me, I guess.
I remember
Uh,
an artist saying that it creates a different set of problems that they liked solving.
mhm.
Whereas a vertical or a horizontal, things slip into place a little differently, I guess.
Yeah, and it seems like it's almost like a window too. I
Mm,
like that I'm looking in. Uh, yeah,
yeah, we're definitely talking about windows with you coming up because
okay, yeah,
there's a yeah, windows are a big thing and looking into and reflecting back, but we're going to talk about that. So
sure.
this particular painting, and something that I would tell anybody listening to this is that these paintings are, they pull you in a different way when you're in front of them than I think what happens when we're seeing them on our computer screen is that everything sort of gets compressed in and the lights get lighter and the darks get darker. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Because this one has more of an actual golden hour feel to it. And I'm calling attention to that because it's my favorite time of day. It's absolutely my favorite time. And you captured it
Oh,
so
thank you.
beautifully in this painting. And so when you see the painting in person, that light is shimmering through the tree branches and what's left of the leaves on those branches or whatever's going in there, reflecting off buildings around it.
Mhm.
Um, and the thing that's also a little bit hard to see, but I'm just going to kind of point it out here, right here, are two figures passing each other.
They might have some detail shots too, do they?
Um,
On that?
Let me see. I don't think so. Well, here
Oh,
I can blow it up a little bit more. Does that
yeah.
help? Yeah. Let me try and blow it up. Oh, so there you can see the figures a little bit more, but you can also see, okay, this is something about Michael's work as well. There is this joyful play of brushstrokes, and they almost look haphazard or accidental. I personally don't think they are. But I think there's something about the way you're laying down the paint, um, that it one adds motion to your works. Um, but it also just feels so natural. Like,
Hmm.
does that make sense?
Yeah, no. I think a lot of my brushwork is spontaneous. I don't really necessarily have a it's just something that's kind of on the verge of being unconscious, but my drawing and my intention is made. I'm always kind of like putting things down and seeing how it works, modifying, taking away,
Yeah.
scraping. It's a lot of uh, give and take back and forth. But my always intention is to try to clarify the shapes of those patterns. This was a little bit about this looks like to me. I noticed, especially with cities, it kind of has a feeling like a cathedral.
Ah,
The way the trees are planted, they're symmetrical. In
mhm.
nature, that would be a little more random.
Yeah.
And even there's the tree pushing the sidewalk up a little
Yes.
bit on the sidewalk. And then I focused on the two figures in the way back just to
Oh,
pull the viewer in all the way. They're so tiny. You get down to a square inch
mm-hmm.
and the piece. And throughout the piece, I want to be aware of each part, but there's like a hook. And it's just by coincidence, it's a male female shape and then playing with soft edges, sharp edges. It's
Mm-hmm.
like feminine, masculine
Yeah.
uh, qualities to it.
And
Uh,
they're passing each other. They're not together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just it's it's too small to tell.
Yeah.
But
They may have gotten together after this.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And maybe not. They're complete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, or yeah, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's a child. No, but
Yeah.
for the sake, I projected a male female shape in there, but it's more of the energy. It's like the energy of myself. It's my understanding of being a complete person, being that I have both aspects to myself of having those energies and balancing them out.
Oh, nice. I like
So
that.
it's more, these are meditations. I happen to run across about a poem about Thomas, oh gosh, I can't pronounce his name, Merton,
Oh, Thomas
about,
Merton. Yeah.
yeah, about a hazelnut. You can see a universe in a hazelnut.
Oh.
And I love that aspect of just going as deep as I can into the piece.
Mhm.
These are kind of like, it's kind of how I receive joy and I feel part of this world.
Hmm.
So yeah.
It comes across in the painting.
Thank
I
you.
think in this painting, in particular, that sense of joy in the painting is really there. It's really wonderful. Hey, let me ask you,
Okay.
I want to ask you about this painting Gumbo.
Yeah.
Um, and this painting, okay, if someone said, hey, we're going to make a jigsaw puzzle out of one of Michael Olson,
Yeah.
I would pick this one because this would make people absolutely insane. Like it is just really, it like this feels like New Orleans to me.
I just I thought it was a creative situation to be in. Like, you want to have a sense of place, but then also like you're looking in and you're looking out. So I just this ambiguity of it, and and just it was just a fun challenge, and
Yeah,
it just kept on going and going and going. Um, I even, adding the type to it, I think give it a little bit more of a dimension.
that Bourbon House seafood.
Yeah, whether or
So,
not, oh, sir,
no,
go
no,
ahead.
no, go ahead. Whether or not you say.
Well, I have no idea if that place is any good,
Ah,
but it's just, it was a place, it's like another thoroughfare on, I somehow, since my studio's in Denver, it's on South Broadway, it's like this was, New Orleans Street was Canal Street, I think was their major thorough street. And it was just this, you know, being in two places at once kind of feeling, uh, reminiscing of
inside and outside, or being reminding you of Denver and while you were there?
uh, remembering just a habit that I have, I guess,
Hmm.
if that makes any sense, that um, I've always played around with this idea and I've always kind of struggled with it. I think this is the most successful attempt I've done doing windows. I remember first started painting, I used to do a lot of these, but could never make it work.
What do you mean it's an idea you struggled with? The windows, the reflection, and the inside
Yeah,
outside? Yeah.
yeah, they're just giving that illusion that you're looking in, and then you're also the light is bouncing back, and you're seeing something that's behind you.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm I my own. I think somewhere in there that there's a hint of me, but it just kind of disappears in the center. It's
Yeah.
lost in the shadow shape.
So these all the paintings that I saw at the show were based on photographs, right?
Yeah,
So I wonder if you would talk a little bit about that, because I think you said that you convert them all to black and white.
yeah, I do. And then just because the colors are kind of deceiving, uh, they tend to pop more, and then I don't see the underneath value structure
Oh,
and how things flow. And then I can also be a little more creative
mm,
with it, not necessarily a slave to it. I used to plein air paint all the time and uh, enjoyed drawing from life. And but some things like this, there's just no way I could possibly pull this off to the
yeah,
scale.
yeah.
And
It's just too
and there
busy.
are, yeah, and they would probably call the cops on me or something.
Yeah. This guy's casing the joint.
Yeah,
He's the slowest thief we've ever met,
yeah, yeah,
but we still have issues.
yeah,
Well, and then I would think it would also free you up if you don't have all the colors and everything, dictating the scene to you, would free you up, one, to make your own color harmonies, but two, to push and pull stuff and not be quite so literal.
yeah. And then it's just I'm just super messy, and I need to have my own space
Yeah.
to work. Um, it's it's just yeah, it just becomes just that, like I can do both, but I just tend to work that way. Yes.
With the black and white and
Yeah.
thinking it through.
Yeah.
What, um, when you're working on a painting, um, I was just kind of trying to visualize, do you have a number of pieces going at the same time, or do you focus on one?
The last couple years, it seems like I've been working on paintings and I leave them aside, and come back to them. Uh, yeah, I used to be more just finish one off, but things changed around 2020. It
Oh,
just seemed like well, okay, the world stopped. Now we maybe just focus on one painting for a little longer,
oh.
um, and just go deeper into it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
And just allow yourself to kind of enjoy that part of the process instead of bouncing around.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Tell me about, okay, so I've pulled up the painting Home Liquors, and this is a shop in Denver, right? This is
yeah,
Denver.
yeah.
So
Just
go ahead.
something I just walk by every day. It's close to my studio. It was just intriguing.
Yeah.
Uh, it's almost like to catch somebody unaware that they're in that shop. It just seems like something. He's behind the counter. He's just relaxing. I'm a big fan of Andrew Wyeth
Ah,
and how he would just paint what was around in his neighborhood. I guess that kind of that I gleaned that from that, and
mm,
been doing scenes, or my work is kind of voyeuristic.
mhm.
Uh, most everybody's kind of a stranger.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Is that kind of gets to when we were talking before about how you like to travel, and it kind of inspires you, of course, like it does for a lot of people. But how you also kind of come at the city of Denver, which is your home and has been your home for a long time, as a traveler, essentially.
hmm I'm always, I'm kind of a deer in the headlights. I'm always it's just taking things in and just seeing things new. My painting, um, my mark making is I'm always experimenting. I don't, I never have a certain method of doing it. And each situation is different and it brings out different emotions
Hmm.
uh and thoughts about it. And I just, yeah, and then just playing with the composition.
Yeah.
We're leading the viewer in. I mean, this one is this being the Night Hawk. The
Hmm.
reason why I named that, somebody else, it was just very similar to the Hopper's painting.
Yeah, Edward
Um,
Hopper and the
y-
Nighthawks at the diner.
yeah, and then the
That beautiful.
perspective is a very similar, and that was just by accident.
Hmm.
Um, you know, it's maybe we're kindred spirits somehow. Um,
It's interesting. I feel like Hopper was also one of those kind of almost a voyeur in his work. Even buildings had this sense of a personality, um, but also like somebody had just been there kind of
mm,
sense. Um, yeah, I think it's really interesting that, and so I think part of when I look at your work, what I'm so curious about, one, because I'm curious about it, but two, because I would have loved to ask Edward Hopper about it, but your just personal emotional connection to what you're seeing, because I know on the surface, you're trying to accomplish something here. You are depicting something that in your mind's eye is beautiful, and accomplishes these goals as an artist. Um, but there's also, I think, this emotional finality to a piece, isn't there?
hmm yeah, um, a lot of it is often you get a sense of where I can see where I was at, where
Oh,
the and see my place out of it. Kind of like a sometimes I kind of you can I imagine myself outside the situation.
oh,
Um, and it was it, um, it just seemed like a very private moment. It's uh, just somebody at the end of the day
mhm.
just witnessing something, and it's mysterious. I don't know. I'll never know,
Yeah.
and
And that's
I'm
the
always
nice thing
trying to
about it.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to maybe the closer I look, I could come up with some of the answers or just validate my opinion. Um, but I just, yeah, it's a painting just is always going to drive me to look deeper.
Mm. And look inward more, I would think.
It's a combination of both, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of more and more, I think it makes me try to turn my own perspective outward. And
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
say more about that.
I think, well, we it's just the one with the golden hour, for instance.
Mhm.
Um,
Wait, I'll go back to that one. I'll go
yeah.
back to Golden Hour.
I've always had this thing where it sounds a little crazy, but oh, why not? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I I used to be able to see two triangles that would meet between my eyes a little bit. Just imagine something, it's not,
Mhm.
um, but I feel like that's a part of my own individuation, being an individual. Geez, I can't pronounce the word, sorry.
Wait,
Um,
two triangles that meet?
well, they intersect and then it becomes incorporated as a star.
Like an optical illusion?
it's almost like a meditation thing
Oh,
that that I've had in the past, and it's just a kind of a drive.
hmm.
Um, I guess it would be um, like a third eye type of thing.
Interesting.
I just just something that um, is trying to be connected to a place, a community, um, something bigger and better than myself. I think I'm always searching for that.
Oh, do you
Um,
feel like, is it like, I don't know, it's hard for me to get outside of myself. So I'm going to ask you probably a stupid question here, and so apologies up front, but
oh,
I
sure.
I personally am an extrovert, but I love my own space, and
Mm,
I'm very happy in my own space and alone. And so I feel like the older I get, the more, when I'm in a situation or in, like, I'm really kind of choosy about that because of that experience and what I bring into now. And so there's I think like I okay, so do you, when you're doing these paintings, you're bringing yourself to that place time and time again, but
mhm.
you're also kind of getting in touch with something, it almost sounds spiritual inside of you. Like you're making definite choices to be somewhere physically and mentally at the same
Mhm.
time.
I become more aware, um, uh, be able to see also sensitivity to, uh, although, I have this chaotic, um, nature when I throw, looks like I'm throwing the paint around. I'm really trying to get the drawing right. And the more I look at something, the more it takes me out of myself. Um, it's just it's it's like a it's a prayer. It's a meditation on but it kind of clears my mind a little bit. I,
So,
I yeah.
uh, okay, so the act of painting, is it coming into and going back out of the self in a sense, in that meditative sort of state?
Yeah,
Sense?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got off track.
No, I think that's like, I think, and that's Walter. He's
Okay.
Walter's part of our conversation now. Hello, Walter. Um,
Oh, okay.
no, I think this is part of the for lack of a better word, maybe like the mystique of being an artist. And you know, it's sort of that thing of when you're doing something you really love, and you
Mhm.
can all of a sudden look up and it's nighttime, and you haven't really left this, your mind is in this space of
Mm.
creating or dreaming or daydreaming, whatever it is, right? um
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a like in between. It's like a between those like a threshold. Maybe that's why I like these like looking in
Mm.
windows, and it just gives a little more depth uh, in the composition. I just yeah.
You know what, I'm going to pull up this one called Mirror. And
Okay.
so this is another one where you're kind of playing with depth, and it's kind of like you're looking in a mirror this time, right?
This started off as a piece that I worked many years ago that um it didn't come about, it came to be a mirror finally because I resolved the situation uh of the piece. I wanted to create a sense of depth and then also a sense of like it's flat, kind of play between the two.
Mhm.
Uh, and then I incorporated a bottle in front, to give it like a sense of like a trompe l'oeil effect. And
Mhm.
then I created these diamond shapes at the bottom, just just playing, experimenting, and then figuring out what how the light travels back to me.
Oh,
Having those light shapes stronger, almost like the light was reflecting, almost like there's no shadows in this painting at all. It's just these tonalities, uh, back and forth.
I think of all the paintings in this group currently, this one, like I feel like in any artist's work, you can see influences from, you know, it could be from other artists they paint with regularly, or someone they studied with, or even going back through time. And I was talking to someone else about this painting too, and I'm like, I'm getting a sense of Manet, and I think he said and Vuillard. And this painting was one to me that I felt you really departed from, um, almost from just a literal thing, like the woman here, and then there's this bottle up front that's kind of reflecting, and the empty
Mhm.
plate. I mean, it's this one to me feels so contemplative and focused, but it has this incredibly timeless quality.
I literally, when I was painting this, I turned my easel the other direction in the room, and I felt like I needed something else to finish this composition. So thank you. Um, yeah, I yeah, it's some of those things that are just like something in the well that I'm looking in myself that I haven't fully, um, been able to communicate here. Sorry. Um,
But that's what I think that, like, to me, I think the you making art, anyone making art, when you're being really true with yourself, truthful
mhm,
and true to yourself and authentic that way, I think it's a mirror on your soul, a mirror of your own mind.
mhm.
Like
Yeah,
you
I
can't get
remember,
away. Yeah.
there's I think Richard Schmidt said something like it, all paintings are self-portraits.
Mm, I like
Uh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. That's got to be right, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's also, it's why it's a challenge because you have to hold up to your, um, why it's so hard to let go of a painting sometimes because you know when you're BSing yourself
Oh,
and, um, but, so this is why some paintings take longer than others.
mm. This painting, Soho Orange. This has an interesting story to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the collector got this piece and then, is that basically was, it came back to me, his ex-wife didn't want it anymore. It was gonna be thrown away. So I don't know that I should record that, but
No, but I mean, people, no, like I think, yeah, that's what. So
yeah,
you get this piece back.
Yeah, I was in the lane in the middle of the room. It's just you just I get it back and I'm like, and then I realized, it's like it wasn't very strong. It was there it was laying there where initially this painting, everything was in focus. Um, or everything was treated the same intensity. And it was another opportunity to really explore this painting, and the reference was gone, and uh, it just like, and it's like, why did I have so much paint at the end? And it was like, oh, I was just wanting to lead the viewer into the composition, and I softened a lot of the edges there, and just came up with this almost iridescent color palette.
Yeah.
Uh, there's multiple shades within the color. I'm I think I paint like a lot of the older painters would paint, but almost like a spirited, like I'm uh, expressive too. So it's chaotic, but then it's organized on the canvas itself.
I love the story about this painting because um you never would have reworked this painting if that hadn't happened, right?
Yeah.
Uh, because if somebody was just getting rid of it and they were, went through a divorce and probably were throwing out a lot of stuff from that life. And
Hmm.
and then this came back to you and you breathed new life into it and took it to this place where you are now as an artist. I mean, what an amazing opportunity to get as an artist.
Yeah, it was a blessing out of as the Schadenfreude, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And
hopefully these people don't hear this.
I know.
They
Well, that you know what? If they hear it, they can buy the painting back.
can buy it back, yeah.
Okay, and this is a large painting too, another square, 48 by 48. It's a really good size painting. And it was such a treat to hear you talk about it standing in front of this painting because like in my mind, I can imagine it all detailed out. Um, but I would think it would have been flat that way.
Yeah, it didn't have the kind of this sense of what the light was, what the story of the light.
Yeah.
It Yeah, everything was equal, and yeah, and your eye just didn't know where to go. And this one I'm happy about because it clearly leads you to the saturation of color.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then everything, I love grays. I'm kind of a very gray person. I'm in between dark and light all the time, and I
Mhm.
think the world is mostly gray. And
Yeah. There's this thing in writing where a lot of well-regarded writers will say you have to trust your audience. And to me, it seems like a painting like this giving you the chance to come back and take out details, soften edges, and really say, this is what I want you to see. And everything else is supporting what I want you to see and understand and know how I felt about this. Not necessarily when I was there, because who knows, but how I feel about it now. And
mhm,
so now what you're doing is asking me to trust you, that you as an artist are going to tell me this story. And I don't need to know what was that, a button down blouse or a pullover, or what kind of shoes, or was it raining or dry, or was it, how many people, and is the shop open or closed that moment, or I don't need you to tell me any of that. And in a way, what you've done with this painting by just making it about this mood and this bright pop of light coming off the buildings. And again, what I think is this, just this last blush of the day, my favorite time of day is you, and I may have told you this when I was looking at this, but um, I had just been in Manhattan the weekend before seeing this painting. And when I turned the corner and saw it, I'm like, oh my God, I was just there. And it doesn't
Hmm.
even matter if you said, no, this is in Soho and you were by, by the museums or whatever. It doesn't matter. You captured that sense of place. And for me, I filled in the story. It was my story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can't, yeah, it's art takes more than one person.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, it's amazing. I, I love it. It'll take on a new life for me. I
Yeah.
mean, just like it's been in this weird journey of like how it came back to me and now it's out in the world again.
I think that is just, I don't know. There's just so many things about seeing this body of work of yours that I just can't tell people enough. If you have a chance to get in front of these paintings, please do. I just think you're such a masterful painter of our time, and you're, allowing all of these thoughts and influences and all that come through you and then come out in your own way. And you're telling these stories but not giving me every single detail so that I now can step in and be a participant. I can take over the painting, right? Uh,
Mhm.
and I can enjoy it. And I think those are the kind of paintings that when I'm working with collectors and talking to them about when they're saying, Rose, who should I collect now? I mean, and I would definitely say, look at Mikael Olson's work because you will never get tired of looking at it because you can constantly bring your own story to it. And those are the paintings we don't get tired of looking at.
Hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
The reason why my paint quality is just rough, and because you look at one brush stroke, it's got 3 or 4 different colors. It's just, yeah, there's paintings within paintings in the composition.
And I think too, and I'll just touch on this, and it was something I was asking you about, but you don't varnish your paintings. And it's interesting. So when paintings are varnished, right, then they're shiny. They look like they're wet all the time, which is a nice look at like it sort of deepens the color to it. It what like when you saturate something, the colors get brighter, but you don't varnish your paintings. Why not?
Well, I just like how they come out. I'm always afraid of varnishing them because it will give that kind of glossy look.
Hmm.
Uh, Maybe a protective layer at some point, like liquid across it, could happen that would help. But I remember there was a painter years ago. His work was very loose and expressive, and then he would varnish it, and then it just became one flat surface to me. I You lose all that those interplay of different colors underneath.
And
Um,
you definitely have that. Yeah. Well, and then the thick and the thin paint, I think you kind of lose that a little bit too when it's varnished.
it's not everything's evenly treated. It's like there's still personality throughout the whole piece.
Mhm.
Um, but hopefully they all come together in a nice, uh, like like a matrix that works all together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it does. Well, and I think without the varnish on it too, especially with your work, we can see, I mean, if you really look, it's almost like you can see the progress of the painting and you can almost see your thought process working through the painting, which is really kind of nice because you can see those juicy brush strokes and the drier brush strokes that come across it, and yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah,
It's unusual to really see something without varnish on it though these days, you know?
yeah, I like it, but it can be, um, yeah, for those reasons, I guess. I just like the depth.
Yeah. Well, I agree. Hey, Michael, this has just been so wonderful. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, sure.
And again, I just want to let people know you can see Michael's work on artsy.com. You can find it at Gallery 1261 on their website. You can see it at Vale International. Certainly go into those galleries, and if the work isn't up, ask them and they'll pull it out of the back room. And follow Michael on Instagram. You're going to go to Olson Michael. That's OLSONMIKAEL is his handle on Instagram. Follow him. He's always posting great stuff there. I just, again, thank you, Michael. I really appreciate
Thank
you taking
you.
time.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we will look forward to seeing new work from you, and
Okay.
take good care. I'm going to keep an eye out around Denver and watch for you where you're set up, and
Okay.
look over your shoulder.
I won't be looking in anybody's windows or anything.
Oh, so we're all safe. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I live on an upper floor, so you won't be looking in my
I
window.
could tell. Yeah, it looks like maybe 5 stories.
Yeah. We're good. Hey, take good care, and thanks a lot, and happy painting.